listeners, Kathy Lawless, Life Story Curator, bringing you this podcast series, How Did I Get Here? A series of interviews designed for people who are just starting out in their careers or who are in transition or maybe stuck, giving them access to stories from those already established in their careers, but in some cases, those just starting out and maybe stuck. And by hearing these stories, then maybe they are moved in some way that might change the trajectory of their life and career. Today, I'm very excited to be interviewing my good friend, Brigitte Ades, who is a serial entrepreneur. And we'll learn all about that, what that means here in just a minute. So welcome, Brigitte.
Welcome. Thank you. I appreciate it, Kathy.
This is going to be so fun.
Yes.
So, as my listeners know, I always like to start with an icebreaker or several icebreakers.
All right.
So that they really get a sense of who you are. And then we start moving into the career journey, because it's funny how when we find out who you are, it really starts to then make sense as the career journey.
Okay.
So
let's go.
Okay. So icebreaker. These are easy, right? Where did you grow up? How many siblings? And where were you in the birth order? And then I guess weave in there, how might that have influenced you?
Oh, that's great. I was born in Vienna, Austria, came to America, and we grew up in Chicago. So it was my mom and I.
Wow.
Yeah, so I had to go to night school with her to learn English. But then I was adopted later on in a family of 6 children, and he adopted myself and my 2 brothers, which made it 9. Later on, there was a divorce, and there were 4 more girls that came on. So I'm the oldest of 14.
Holy
and
cow.
I have to tell you, I'm glad of my position. Not glad because I'm always afraid, am I going to be the first one to die? You know, I always think about that. But, you know, I love it because I've always had to be responsible. I had to be a girl of my word. My mom and dad used to say, be a person of your word. Mm-hmm. And I was always not the hovering person, but making sure all my little ducks were in a row. And to this day, I make sure all my little ducks are in a row. Might not be my siblings, but yeah, so I'm the oldest. And I love it.
Wow. So yeah, that did influence you.
Absolutely.
In so many ways, the moving to a foreign country, learning a new language,
yes.
and then all these different family
dynamics
and connections. Wow.
Yes.
So you've always had to kind of integrate with people.
I've always had to integrate with people, and I've always had to learn how to make new friends because I went to so many different grade schools. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's why what's a room of strangers? You know, right? But I had to learn that. No, I had to learn that, though, the first time I was networking. I'd learn it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So growing up then, as being the oldest, did you have time for sports or instruments or anything kind of fun?
Actually, Kathy, I did not like school at all. Anything I could do to stay away from school. I was 11 years old and I was wanting to be an entrepreneur. So I hung around with those. I didn't have a normal childhood. Yeah. I hung around with those that had businesses. Like, seriously, I would hang around and watch this woman.
Like who? Was it your mom or was it?
Well, my dad was an entrepreneur. He had McDonald's and also Burger King, and he was a Chicago cop. Oh. So as soon as I could reach the grill, I was flipping a burger. I wanted to work.
So you wanted to be an adult?
I was an adult at 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I watched when I wanted to become a hairdresser. I knew I wanted to do that since I was 12 years old because I used to watch that old Polish lady in the neighborhood lean on the sidewalk and watch her cut hair. And finally one day she waved me in. And I've always wanted to do hair ever since then. I knew I did not want to do college from a very young age. Why should I go to college when there's so many other kids that wanted to go? And I wanted to be a serial entrepreneur. I just knew I did.
Wow.
From day one, I just knew I did.
So I think you are my second interview out of 18 so far that has that inner knowing.
Oh, yes.
Just 2 out of 18. Most people are like, well, I was good in math and science. I was good in this. So I kind of went down this path. But I knew.
No, all the nuns were always mad at me because I think seriously, if ADD was a thing then, I might not have been punished so much because I was always bored with school. I studied real hard and did everything really good, but I was like, what's next? What's next? What's next? I never was fulfilled.
You just kind of chewed through it all.
I did it because you're supposed to graduate high school, right? Mm-hmm. Otherwise, if I didn't have to graduate high school, I'd have been an entrepreneur.
Wow. Right then and there.
Right then
at
and
age
there.
11. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you still speak, is it Austrian? I mean,
German.
Do you speak
German.
Okay.
You know, I do and don't because it's a very hard language. If you don't speak it on a daily basis, it's easily lost. But when we went to go visit my daughter in Germany, It was kind of crazy how things came back.
Wow.
So yes, no. How's that for a fair answer?
So use it or lose it, but then start using it again and it comes back.
Yes, exactly.
Very cool. Okay, shifting gears a little bit here.
All right.
If you look at yourself on a fun meter, 1 being couch potato and 5 being life of the party.
Oh, I'm a 10,
You're
sister.
a 10. Love it.
So my husband and I, okay, Frank's like, give me the beer, put me in the corner, and don't talk to me. Mm-hmm. Me, I'm like, okay, party, you can start. Yeah. I'm here. I'm definitely a 5.
Definitely a 5. Okay. And same scale on a scale of 1 to 5, but this is the risk meter. Oh. Where would you put yourself on the risk meter?
I'm a 5.
A 5. You're not going 10 on that?
No, I would say 10, but I didn't want to be too much of a smarty pants. But I'm definitely not afraid of risk. I'm not afraid of failure, and I'm not afraid of risk. Yeah. Now, if you're going to ask me to jump out of a plane, I'm going to say hell no. So maybe not that kind of risk, okay?
But yeah, and I think when we get into your career story and what you've done in life, we're gonna see that. So okay, well, very cool. Yeah. Well, see how I think those are foundational questions that are really going to help our listeners now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hear your story. So okay, so let's talk a little bit about what you do now. You're a serial entrepreneur, but what does that really mean?
I would say a serial entrepreneur to me means there's no way in hell I'm going to get a job and have a boss.
A boss that's not you.
A boss that's not me, or a boss that I can't sleep with like my husband. Ooh. Right? So because I work with my husband, in the office. And so we joked around. He said, well, you need to apply for the job. And well, Kathy, I got it.
You got it.
But I'm not a very good employee because I don't like to be micromanaged. But I sure can do what you're going to ask me to do, and I'll do a great job at it.
Well, and you'll know what to do even before you're out.
Yeah.
So yeah. So you have how many businesses now that you're?
Right now I'm really scaled back. I have my Happy Ass Coffee, which is you can find on happyasscoffee.com, and it's coffee that feeds the happy hormones. And I'm really just that's my fun spot of the week where I'm like, I'm talking coffee. And then I work with my husband in our business. We decided about 5 months ago, Frank said to me, honey, I'm either going to have to hire somebody to work in the office, which for the listeners, we work from home. So it's not like we have an office somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So I would have to have a stranger coming into my home. And not that that's bad, but I just don't, it's not comfortable. I won't feel like I'm home with a stranger here. So I'm working in the office, and I do a lot of his work for him so that he can go outside and be able to go outside and be able to focus right on the clients themselves when he goes to their home. And when he comes home, he knows all the work is done. So I do a lot of research and finish his reports. And and Bridgeting the Gap. That's my YouTube channel where I interview entrepreneurs such as yourself.
Yeah. Of course, the listeners, she just mentioned like 3 major things that she does. We'll get into a little bit more now about kind of how did you get there? But I mean, when I hear serial entrepreneur, I just know that's your mindset. That's your
my
DNA.
Mindset.
And you look at what are those businesses that are going to fit for your values, what you love to do, how to support your husband, your family, etc. So, okay, so we just learned back when you were younger, you wanted to be a hairdresser. So that's where you started, right? And so
so
let's go back there.
A couple of days after I graduated high school, I opened up my very first salon.
Did you go to beauty school? Or
I did. I went to beauty school because in my high school, St. Benedict's in Chicago, if you have a really good grades, which I did, and I had to work hard on them. They did not come naturally at all for me. But I was able to do a trade school in senior year. So I only had to go 2 hours to school as a senior. And then the whole rest of the time I went to beauty school and then worked at night.
Wow.
Yeah.
So were you working at night in a beauty salon? Or
no, I was working at a record store.
Oh.
Yeah. Yep. I was
that would
working
be fun.
It was fun. That's why I have so many darn albums, and now they're coming back.
I know.
So I'm glad I didn't get rid of them. But so I was about 2 days after I graduated high school, I started my own business.
And did you have any business school training? Did they cover that in the trade school too?
Well, when I went to beauty school, and I say beauty school because that's what it was called. Now it's cosmetology school. But let's just call it like it is, beauty school. They did have lessons. Nowadays, they don't. We had to design our own salon. We had to come up with a business plan. And I knew at 15 I wanted a salon, so I worked with Mr. Nelson at Ravenswood Bank. He made me work, he had me working. I was doing leaves, dog walking, ironing. That's when we used to iron years ago.
Yeah.
And, whatever I needed to do to raise money to open up my salon.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he kind of gave you that coaching on how much money it was going to take to open it, and then did he coach you on what it was going to take to run it?
Exactly. And you know what's funny about this whole thing is when I told him, okay, I have a salon, I'm ready to go, and he goes, great, you're going to get a loan now. And I said, what the hell? I thought that I would be able to use the money I saved. He said, you never use your own money in business.
Oh,
isn't that interesting?
Great lesson learned.
Yeah. So I had to pay $4,000 for my first salon, and I wondered how in the hell am I going to pay that back? But am I showing my age? I mean, seriously, that was 1976, 77. Holy crap. Mm-hmm. So, but things were different then. Your banker was your financial advisor.
Well, yeah, I was just going to ask you, would you have considered him a mentor too, or just
in both ways? My dad was definitely a mentor, and because my dad knew what he had in his hands. He knew, oh my God, who knows what Bridget's up to now. But I would say yes, he was definitely a mentor. And remember, I told you earlier, I hung around with people that were entrepreneurs.
Oh yeah.
So I was very blessed, Kathy, my whole life having positive influences.
And role models.
And people to reach out to.
If you can see it, you can be it. I mean, that's a phrase that's been used in a lot of, not knowing the law of the space I was in.
Do you know, I never had a doubt that I was going to have my own salon. I never even had a doubt. I had everything drawn out, and I just knew it was going to happen. It's funny how that...
Wow.
There was nothing and nobody that would change my mind.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So, how did that first salon go?
It went really well. There were people in there 3 times my age, and they really respected and loved me, and it went really well. And then I did something stupid and fell in love and got married my first time when I shouldn't have. But then I had my salon for about 5 years in Chicago.
Ah.
Yeah, and then I got married to a Marine, and we traveled the world and landed up in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, the armpit of America. And but I was only married. It was a short marriage, and I shouldn't say it was an unfortunate marriage. It just... when you're young and dumb.
Yeah.
Right?
You learn a lot.
And back then...
Been there, done that.
Yeah. So, trial number one.
It's training then when you find that right person. Then you know what
then
to
you know,
do.
yeah, that's it. And you know how to appreciate someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I think the training wheels were pretty good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he's still a great guy. Yeah.
So you traveled, you end up in North Carolina, not happy. What happened then? Is that what brought you to Denver, or did you go back to Chicago?
Our marriage ended. When I married a Marine, and he had 2 terms, and both of them were equal to 18 months. We never really were married or together. So we mutually ended our marriage, which was good. Mm-hmm. And then I moved to Colorado. And when I moved to Colorado, my uncle asked me if I would help with Dayton Hudson Corporation, which is one of the jobs I did have. And now I know why I never wanted to have a job. But he said, would you help me at Target? And, and train some leadership. And I said, okay. I never trained leadership in my life. Just been one. Never trained it.
Yeah.
I said, okay. Well, it was probably about 5 months later, and I started to feel suffocated, Kathy. Like, I felt like they were like, you never can do enough for a corporation. You can never do enough. They always want more. So every time I got like a 4 or 5, which is very good in rating, they wanted a 5. If I got a 3, they wanted a 4. If they, it was never enough and not a moment of breath of appreciation. And then when they put me up in the apartments in Parkway Hair and Wellness at Parkway Center, I walked down one day and I saw a for sale sign go into the salon. And I told myself, keep walking, keep walking, keep walking. Dang it. Came back from the grocery store, stopped in. 3 months later, I owned that salon.
Somehow, your feet did not listen, did they?
No, they did not listen.
Had to go in.
My head and my heart and my feet were not equal, but it was a perfect storm. It was a perfect scenario because my uncle said, I didn't think I was going to have you for that long. I knew you were an entrepreneur, and he was one of my biggest advisors as well. And the salon was available, and it was just perfect, honey. I had saved my money. I got a loan. I went to a women's bank downtown and did what Mr. Nelson would be proud of. I know he turned in his grave and gave me a high five, but I just started from there, and then I landed up with 2 other businesses downtown Denver, salons.
2 other salons. Wow.
Yeah.
In downtown Denver.
In downtown Denver. Today, you can't even touch a salon down there. for the price that I had it.
The overhead is just...
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
The rent space. I mean, I remember when I was paying $5.50 a square foot, and I asked myself, how in the hell am I going to afford this?
Wow.
You know, and now I think it's like $12, $13, $15, or even $30, depending on where you are.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
But I loved it.
But you loved it.
I loved it. I loved every minute of it. Yes.
And so you ran 3 salons then for how many years? I mean, is that pretty much the bulk of your career?
Well, most of it was in one salon, and then I went into a partnership for the Monaco Hotel. We opened up a Nevada salon there.
Oh yeah.
And then there was a mall downtown, which is no longer, and we had a little salon in there. So that was probably a year of my time, and that at the end we had an opportunity to sell, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I just took the opportunity because it was right before the crash and everything. So
good timing on your part.
Good. It was good timing, and I had a sense it was time. Plus, my legs were tired. I was getting tired, and I always told myself, Kathy, this is an agreement I have with myself, which I wish more business owners and entrepreneurs would have. The moment I start to not like it, I need to start to pivot and think of something else, because life is too short, and I don't want to be the typical... Most of my friends have jobs, and they're like, I hate my job. I just hate my job. And oh my gosh, Kathy, I don't want to say that every day. But it got to where my drive downtown was longer. When I first was there, it was 20 minutes to get downtown, and then it was an hour and 15 minutes, and then the rents were going up. The Rockies came, DIA was being built, and the prices were, you could only charge so much for hair.
Yeah.
Before you lose your regular clientele.
And so you just need more clientele.
And so you need more clientele. But then how do you fit more clientele in an already booked salon?
Yeah.
And so everything aligned perfectly for me to have the opportunity to say, yes, I'll sell. And it was a beautiful thing. Yeah. And I also had a partnership that was going bad. I should never have done a partnership. I should never have done a partnership.
Oh,
I'll say that again. That's one of my 100,000 failures I've done in my life is go into a partnership.
So another lesson learned.
Oh, sure. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, line them up.
But I guess, with failures, with setbacks comes learning. So then what was the next step then?
Well, after I licked my wounds, and
Did you feel like you failed, or did you feel like,
of course.
I just don't want to make a change?
No, I felt like I failed.
So you had a mindset issue.
I did. I felt well, it was so weird because I sold my baby and did well, but my partnership went bad. So it was kind of like, geez, I'm not sure to celebrate or cry. So I was kind of numb for a couple of months, and I knew better to not go into partnership, but sometimes we do things just because we think it's going to be better and grander. Yeah. And it's not always the case.
Well, and another person can get you excited about
and that's exactly it.
And what you can do together, and you can do more. I mean, I can see
so basically what had happened, in a nutshell, was I had enough equity and enough credibility at Women's Bank to apply for that spa that we were opening up in the Monaco Hotel, which back then was $800,000 back then. I was the one that carried the note a lot, and they got it, and our partnership went down. Yeah. But but we don't need to get into all the rest, but I was basically used for good credibility. Yeah. So, but that's okay. I didn't lose anything other than a broken heart, because I thought, sometimes when you're too trustworthy, there's a price for that. Yeah. That's an example of one.
But I think also that maybe has served you for a lot of your life is being trustworthy. So.
Oh, absolutely. I'll keep that. Yeah. I'll keep that.
There's probably more wins than losses.
There definitely is. So. Absolutely.
Okay. So you sell, and then what? Now are you kind of at a period of time?
Okay, now I'm running. Now, so I took a couple of months off. My husband said to me, you need to get a job because everything is over-organized. Our cans are in the pantry were organized alphabetically. He's like, girl, you got to do something. You got to do something. So what I did was I started a little business called Mary Kay Cosmetics. And I did that because I was familiar with makeup, because makeup and hair is what I did. I loved makeup and hair, and I thought, I could do makeup. Well, I started growing a Mary Kay business. Kathy, you're too dumb to doubt. I just did the stuff. I did exactly what they told me to do. And next thing you know, I'm growing a huge Mary Kay business. And I never did a skincare class.
Wow.
Everybody came to my home. My husband made me a beautiful studio. What we're in right now is what used to be a Mary Kay studio.
Oh.
And so people used to come to me because I don't like to go to people's houses. Not everybody's definition of clean is mine. And maybe call me a little... I'm not a germophobic. I'm a clutterophobic. There are a lot of people that just... I don't know. So anyway... we're not in a psychology conversation right now, so let's skip that. But so I just, next, I'm building, and I have 100 people on my team, a couple hundred people on my team. I'm making great money, and so
back doing what you love. It sounds
and
like
back doing what I love, minus the hair. Yeah,
okay.
because my hands and my legs were tired of that. But so I did Mary Kay, and from there I discovered Send Out Cards. And I was with Send Out Cards for several years, and
so that's a franchise. Right?
Send Out Cards is network marketing like Mary Kay.
Oh, okay, okay.
And I fell in love with the network marketing model and the business model. I thought it was brilliant. I felt I was pretty good at business decisions. I think I made a really good one. Yeah, I loved it.
Well, what's occurring for me right now is this whole journey, and it's just total entrepreneur. I mean, it's so
absolutely.
DNA.
I had a couple people ask me if I don't want to work for them, and I couldn't say no fast enough without being rude.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm very. It's very kind of you to ask me to work for you, but that's not where my life wants to go. And instead of me want to say, oh hell no, I just it wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what got you into the whole networking group then? Is that when were you in Send Out Cards?
I was at Send Out Cards, and there was a little company called BNI. And so a friend of mine said, you should come to my chapter because we don't have a Send Out Cards person there. And I'm like, okay. One of those, sure. And so I go there and I join immediately.
This is you being fearless, right?
I'm fearless.
And taking risks.
And taking risks, yeah.
You're not afraid of this.
My first adventure was I never walked into an already made room of friends. That's that's a lot different for me. So... it took me a little more time to get used to that, but I started networking, and then I saw our director come in every once in a while, and I would sit down and talk with the director, and he would say, Bridget, you'd be really good as a director. And I'm like, okay. I was right. I'm like, what a nimwit. And 13 years later, I worked with BNI, but I had to be an entrepreneur to work for BNI, and I was very independent. They let me do what I want, how I want, so... even though I might have been paid from BNI corporate, I did everything the way that they just said go because I made them a lot of money.
So you didn't feel like you had a boss.
I didn't have a boss.
Did you feel like it was your own business still?
I kind of did. I owned it like it was mine.
Well, I think that's how you show up in life, though.
That's how you show up in life. I mean, I would have done the same thing if I did own BNI as I did working alongside BNI. Absolutely.
Well, they were grateful to have you because not a lot of people operate that way.
Yeah.
As if it's their own business.
Right. And I started chapters for them. I started over 43 chapters.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's...
and that Denver area or out of state too?
No, just all Denver.
All Denver. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Well, Denver and our little local areas, from Fort Collins to Denver to... Colorado Springs.
Mm-hmm. So the whole metro area.
The whole metro area.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So are you... at this point in your life, then, are you feeling? So, are you still doing? You're still doing Mary Kay, Send Out Cards, and BNI, or you're...
Mary Kay, I actually walked away from, and Send Out Cards, I am no longer with them either. I just kind of finished, but I took a little break from network marketing, just like anybody would if they were a photographer. Take a break from photography. So, but now I'm with a company called Elevicity. We get to brand our own coffee, and it's a coffee that feeds the happy hormones, and I call it Happy Ass Coffee.
I love that name, and I love your logo too.
My donkey. Well, that's because of years ago, Beethoven was a donkey in Holland that I met, and when I was dating this gentleman before my husband, but I was dating this gentleman, and his donkey was Beethoven. He used to come in the kitchen and have coffee with me every morning. And Beethoven was a crack up. So Beethoven would come in, and so would the chickens, so would the lambs, so would the goats. Everybody came into the kitchen when Beethoven opened that door. But and then when I was younger, my dad used to say, "Get your happy ass upstairs and change. We don't dress like that in this house. Get your happy ass upstairs. Do this, do that." So Happy Ass Coffee.
Wow.
How perfect.
Well, thanks for sharing the name. I just thought the name was cute and funny.
It is cute and funny.
But it's
very meaningful to me. So that's what I'm doing now. I work for my husband, a Happy Ass Coffee, and Bridgetting the Gap. That's it. I think that's going to be good for a while.
Wow. Well, like you haven't done enough.
Yeah, like I haven't done enough.
Yeah.
I'm old broad now. I deserve a little bit of light schedule.
So when you look back on your life then, how did you define success maybe early on? Were you kind of chasing success in a certain way, and do you still view success that way now in your current space?
Wow.
Or let's hear that story.
Okay. I never thought of success when I was younger, to be honest with you. I just thought of my next goal and am I going to achieve it? So maybe that could be the same thing. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't say, oh, I'm successful now. I have never felt like I've reached the pinnacle of success. Oh. So it might be, because I was thinking when I had my one salon in Chicago, what if I open another one? Mm-hmm. What if I do this? But I always thought live within your means and grow within your means. And so I just kind of always use it as a rule of thumb. Success for me today now, if I may be honest with you, it truly is, am I loving my kids enough? Am I around for my grandkids enough? Am I loving am I where I'm supposed to be in the space I'm in? Kind of Mary Kay Ash used to say this, be where you are. So I know like this weekend, and many people who are listening today can appreciate what I have to say. If I'm sitting with my husband, I'm thinking, oh my God, I have this to do. I have that to do. I need to get this. He's just not getting my full attention.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if I'm with my grandkids and I'm thinking about what I need to get done, they're not getting my full attention. So success to me, Kathy, is when I put my head on the pillow every night and said, I loved a lot. I gave a lot. And I achieved a lot today. Whatever that might be. It might be a list of 4 things, might be a list of 20 things. Mm-hmm. But that's where success is for me now. It is never the same throughout my life. I believe if you're a happy person, then success will come. If we remember, we grew up that I'll be successful when. I will be successful when, or I'll be happy when. Well, when is that going to be?
Yeah.
So let's claim our success today and now, and let's be happy today and now. All the rest will fall in place. I'm a complete opposite believer in that, but that's how I feel.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
It is something I think when you look back on your career or your life, sometimes we're chasing something, right? And we haven't even defined what success is.
There's a lot of wasted time in entrepreneurship.
Well, in entrepreneurship, and also I found when I was, my journey was more on the corporate space, and there's this ladder that you can see sometimes, and there's this hamster wheel that you want to get on. Or,
it could be a hamster wheel, or it could be a ladder.
Yeah, it feels like a ladder, and then when you get on it, sometimes then all of a sudden it feels like a hamster wheel.
But see, as an entrepreneur, we don't really have that ladder. We don't have that. So I never got to really experience that because I never wanted it. Mm-hmm. So I kind of admire that a little bit. I wonder how I would have been. I might have been fired too much. I might have been fired because I have a big mouth. I'd be like, oh, no, you didn't. You did not just talk to me like that. Kathy, I would not. I would have. My dad used to tell me I'm unemployable because I have a mouth. So. Well,
I also hear that it sounds like to you, your success for you was about the journey of it. And
absolutely.
And what's really just next, not I'm trying to get somewhere or get to something like 5 stores.
Exactly.
Would be my definition of success. And then you get there and then you're like, oh, you know what? It's not 5, it's 7. Oh, no, it's not 7, it's 10. Right. That's kind of.
I always wanted to be better where I was at, but not necessarily more of what I had. Oh. Does that make sense? So I knew I was a hairdresser, but I wanted to be a master stylist. Oh, I didn't want to just be a makeup artist. I wanted to go to London and learn how to do makeup. So I lived in an affordability realm because I was on my own at a very young age. Mm-hmm. And having your own house and a car and a business and everything else, you have to learn to live within those means, right?
Yeah.
So I always have had backward thinking, but it's worked for me.
Well, describe what you mean by backward thinking. I'm not sure.
So the people I knew that had salons were working to get more salons. And then they would have more salons and more salons. And then I would see them go down. Oh. I mean, they'd be like, oh, Brigitte, you are so lucky you're just running one salon. And I was making more money than they were because their costs. So what I mean by backward thinking is a lot of people would say to me, don't you want more? Don't you want more? Don't you want another salon? Don't you want this? We could use another salon in Lakewood. And I would say, no, I want to be better where I'm at. Mm-hmm. I want my salon, every square inch of my salon to be profitable. So like my retail area had to pay for my whole rent for the whole month. That's what my expectations were. Then it was like, well, then they could pay for some of my retirement. And so I was always looking at what's a smarter way to be where I'm at versus wanting more.
Wow.
I know it's different, but it worked for me.
Wow. Well, and do you think you got that from that financial advisor back early, or is it also maybe a core value to you of how you wanted to just handle money?
Well,
and
I think it's a couple of things. That's a good question, Kathy, because my father, it was an entrepreneur, but then he wanted another McDonald's. Then he bought a Burger King, because back then you could do that. Now today they call it competition. But I saw my dad wear down really, really bad. And he was also a police officer. So I saw him, just running his butt off ragged and actually not making any more. And I remember one time we were at the dinner table and I said, Dad, do you wish you kind of didn't have all these? He goes, yes. I wish I had that one McDonald's that we made plenty of money and we were just fine in. But, he can only be in one place at one time, right? Plus, he's a Chicago cop.
Yeah.
So if you're not there, your employees are not working as hard. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the mice, what do they say? The cat's away, the mice will play. Mm-hmm. And so I saw that, and I think that might have tainted me a little bit. But it was always in my core values to be better. Because
I wouldn't say you were tainted. I think that was very smart on your part.
Yeah.
To maximize what you've got. I think it's so easy to get caught up in this growth mindset. I mean, look, how many businesses we got to grow, double-digit growth, so how are we going to do that? We're going to buy this other company, and then we're going to integrate it, and we'll be better together. And then they lose sight of why they were in business to begin with.
Their core values.
It's all about growth. It's not necessarily about serving their customers. I mean, it can really sidetrack you.
It can. And from those other people, Kathy, I mentioned earlier that open up multiple salons, I watched them deteriorate fast and quickly. And I thought, oh no, I don't want to lose what I love, Yeah.
Wow, super smart on your part, I would say.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that because sometimes I wonder.
So not only are you a serial entrepreneur, but you're a super smart serial entrepreneur.
Yeah. I would say. No.
So looking back on your life too, any other themes that we haven't covered or?
I would say to fail forward.
Oh.
To fail forward, Kathy, because we need another 3 hours to discuss all the mistakes I have made. Or, should we call them mistakes or should we call them doubting my own judgment?
Oh,
right? When I knew better and I'm like, oh, no, when I just argued with myself and myself did not win. And so I failed forward and I made sure every time I messed up or I made a mistake, and I made plenty of them, believe me, I would be sad and go through the grieving process of my mistakes. But I always said to myself, what did I learn from it? And was I my true self? And 9 times out of 10, I was not my true self. My successes came from when I was true to myself, and my failures came when I double doubted. Yeah, but I failed.
So you double doubted, but then you went ahead with something.
Oh, sure, of course, yeah.
But your gut was telling you, maybe I shouldn't do this, but something was compelling, and you're like, well, no, I'm going to go ahead and give it a try.
That's right. That's exactly right. And I always say, it's a very long distance from the stomach to the head. Ooh, man. It really is. It's a lot of journey and talk going on between the stomach and the head, isn't there? Or the heart and head, however you want to make it. I didn't always make heart decisions, but I always made good business decisions. And I made many that weren't. But I would say fail forward and don't punish yourself. When people say, are you going to do it again? I'm going to say, yeah. Did your first kiss? Did you marry your first kiss? No.
Yeah.
You dated and you had heartache and you went back for more and we go back for more and then we find the right one. So I'm not afraid to retry something I failed at.
Yeah. So you mentioned that partnership didn't work out.
No.
But you would be open maybe to another partnership if
correct.
If it was all of the right indicators.
Yes.
And maybe set up.
And they were the right people.
And yeah,
that would have been nice. Instead of going into a partnership of somebody you met 2 months earlier. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. I didn't think very clearly back then.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and with, I think, all setbacks and how do you call it a setback or a failure? I mean, really, it's a
Kathy,
learning. It's part
Mary
of the journey.
Kay Ash used to say, setbacks are a setup for a comeback. And it's very true. It's very true. Every time I fell, I somehow got up stronger and wiser and better and more loving and kind. My loving and kindness I have now was hard work. Yeah.
Wow. So there's an element of humbleness that comes with.
Holy crap. That's failing forward's all humble, baby. I've eaten more humble pie than anybody I know. Oh, yeah. And I'm not afraid to say I'm sorry I screwed up. I think that's another thing. I've trained a lot of entrepreneurs with B&I, over 1,800 of them. And I know many of them, I guess you can call it ego. I say if you have an ego, you're never going to be successful as an entrepreneur.
Wow, because you would think it takes a strong ego.
Well, it depends on how you drive your ego.
Yeah.
Is your ego to make it all about you, or is your ego to make it about everybody else around you? Because if you make it about everybody else around you, you'll always look good. I've always hired people a hell of a lot smarter than me because I'm not that smart. I might have good business sense, but we need people that are good in bookkeeping and things of that sort, right? You want to surround yourself by that. But
absolutely,
I would say, what is your ego radar? I mean, if it's to think you're all that in the bag of chips, you're never going to make it in the entrepreneur world. And you know that from a corporate world. People that have egos, they can go up that ladder quite high, but they won't make it in an entrepreneurial world. They'll struggle. They'll be very lonely.
Well, and at some point, many times there's a breakdown in the corporate world too with an ego, but sometimes they do tend to be at the very top, and then that's...
and sometimes that's what they need to be, though.
Yeah.
But for my little world, ego doesn't work real well. I tried it. Doesn't work well.
Tried it and gave it up.
I said, this ego hat's not my style.
This humble hat now.
No, eating humble pie.
And serving others.
That's absolutely. I have more of a servant heart than I ever did when I was younger. And it wasn't because I was mean when I was younger. I just was on a mission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we're younger, we're proving ourselves, and we're trying to move quickly, and there's an element and desire about earning. I think when you get older, there's this... You've kind of done a lot of that, and it's no longer about those things. It's more
not about the Benjamin anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, trust me.
Not that it's not important.
I was going to say, I'm not cheap to have. Ask Frank. He'll always say, am I expensive? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But all joking aside, that's not what leads me anymore. Yeah.
Wow.
I guess you could say success has changed, right?
Yeah. Well, thank you. Well, Brigitte, this has been so great. I know, I feel like I know you pretty well, and then yet I didn't know that you were born in Austria and that you... Anyway, I didn't know your whole story. So thank you for sharing that. Is there anything you'd like to add that you think that you haven't covered already that our listeners might be or benefit from?
I think I would say don't be afraid to pivot. Don't be afraid to look for something else. I'm not saying sell what you're doing or stop what you're currently doing, but, be where you are, improve where you are, and don't be afraid to pivot once in a while. Things aren't working, look at what you could do to change, and be open to change. Especially my generation. I'm going to be 62 in January, and I notice our generation is like, change? What do you mean, change? What are you talking about? I mean, I just listened to somebody the other day at the doctor's office because he's got to fill his forms out online.
Oh, not happy
about that. Mm-hmm. So I went over. I don't even work for this doctor's office. I went over there and helped him. He was my age. He was 63. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh, honey, I get it. But you have to, listen, it's going to happen with or without us.
Oh, yeah.
We might as well go with. So don't be afraid to pivot. Do what you're doing, but be the best at what you're doing. Take all the training, anything you can to be better, and you'll find that you will love what you're doing. And don't be afraid to fail forward. You've got it.
Wow. All great words of wisdom.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, honey. Thank you for having me on, and thanks you guys for listening. I wish you the best in all your endeavors.
Well, listeners, wow. I can't thank you enough, Brigitte, for those sharing your story and your journey, and hopefully our listeners will get a lot of value out of that and be moved, touched, and inspired to pivot, change, be open.
And don't be afraid to fail.
So, listeners, if you like today's podcast, please subscribe so that you get alerts going forward. And also, please put any comments or questions on my website so that I can pass those on to Brigitte if they're for Brigitte, or if they're for me for future interviews. I would love to start incorporating any questions you might have. So thank you so much and have a great day.
Bye, y'all.